Why is it all so negative?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Fatima. When we focused on their more weak or selfish or craven moments, it confirmed their innermost fears and put them in a state of mesmerized horror.
But the show is using my life. It's my name, it's my career, it's me. They're using me, so...
And you assign them the right to exploit all of that.
What? When?
Terms and conditions. All of that would have popped up on your phone or whatever when you first signed up to Streamberry, and you clicked accept.
Yeah, they're making fun of Netflix, but they're not like advocating for any kind of revolution. The success of Black Mirror's 6th season is good for their stock price in the short term. I don't think they're really calculating, yeah, but if a bunch of people watch this and down the road they watch other things that are also like this, maybe they will be more susceptible to slightly more lefty thought or something.
I think that's 100% the calculation.
You think so?
I think there's a literal person at every company, probably, honestly and truthfully, probably a team, and they are making very calculated decisions about how they move in that climate. Corporations don't actually allow revolutionary speech. Corporations are very in line with what is reformist speech, because reformist speech is usually, honestly, just good business. They allow reformist speech because they can plan around reformist speech. If you look at the official SEC filing of Coca-Cola, there's a lot about sustainability and how they need to combat climate change and how they need to do all that. And they've mostly done that because there are ingredients that Coca-Cola needs to further its business that are threatened by climate change. There are supply chain routes that are threatened by climate change. Now, revolution may not be good business, which is why
it's a red flag.
I am not gonna hold y'all, but I fucking love the Hamilton soundtrack. Like, no joke.
I believe that.
I have never completely seen the play at all, but I fucking love the soundtrack.
That's oddly on brand. Somehow that makes sense to me. I can imagine you in Hamilton watching by yourself and a single tear goes down your cheek and then you clap. Amazing.
I've only seen 30 minutes of it, but the soundtrack
both so synchronized
went triple platinum.
Yeah.
We know Alvin.
We know Alvin well. That's his clap face. Incredible. I truly understand the nature of man now.
Indubitably.
Thank you for this gift, David Diggs et al. Wait, who's
specifically
the
David Diggs? Just everybody, fuck everybody else.
Fuck the writer,
David.
just him. Yeah. He was good in Snowpiercer, man. I like him.
What is the show about?
It's
Snowpiercer show.
It's okay. I will say the beginning of
the movie's overrated.
It's all overrated, man. Like to me, it seems like the movie was already a little bit like basically doing what Parasite eventually did, but more ham-fistedly. And the show is super ham-fisted. Like they just hammer you with the head with the fucking eat the rich class conscious. It's like, okay, we get it. It's about class, bro. Calm down.
But it's not exactly like a subtle metaphor either.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. And it's like, and I'm glad you bring that point up, Eddie, because Parasite was a natural progression of that same kind of artistic vision, but Parasite did it so much better.
It felt so much more subtle and like, and that it had story that would work. And I feel like if you're gonna make a piece of content or a film or whatever with a moral or a political message, which it's kind of impossible not to make one with that, it still has to stand on its own. It's kind of my view. Like you have to make a good story aside from the message. So
I remember I would see the commercials for that, and I'd be like, I feel like there's just not enough there for a show. Because
for Snowpiercer,
the premise is for Snowpiercer, because the premise is like played out throughout the movie. I don't know, like you get halfway through the movie and you're like, I get it, okay, and now there's like 3 seasons of the show. I don't know how that happens.
Oddly, they actually do a lot with it. Like they waste a lot, but you realize there's actually like a lot of fertile ground for like a story because you don't have to.
Yeah,
it's like it's a whole society, so you can do whatever the fuck you want within that train. And then there's the entire world outside of the train, which Snowpiercer never really touches. So,
and I think that's the only thing that saves the show, right? And the movie. I think a lot of people
other than
give a lot of grace because he did a lot of world building when he kind of crafted that story. So I think the world building aspect of it carries it a little bit more than the ham-fisted message, which I think is very simplistic and not particularly novel in any sort of context. But I don't necessarily think you should do it in a series, but a miniseries. I think there was enough meat on the bone from the initial world building that you could make something that was palatable in that context. Not saying I think they did that well consistently over 3 seasons, but
I mean, the show could have just been a fun apocalyptic, young adult sci-fi, similar to like the 100, which I thought for the first like 2 seasons was like really good. Like,
agreed.
That was a fun show. Yeah.
yeah, you can just have fun with it. And and I watched the first 2 seasons of Snowpiercer. It was good. Like they just eventually it got boring, not like overly woke. It just was boring. They just ran out of steam and didn't have anything to talk about, and were just cycling back through the same shit. So
I think the miniseries is underrated, bro.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think motherfuckers need to do like the night
Handmaid's
of type
Tale.
shit.
Yeah,
Like do fucking the night of.
Handmaid's Tale should have been 7 episodes.
That's what I'm saying. The shit should have been max 12. Max 12.
100%.
But the night of is the blueprint for how these motherfuckers need to
So
approach some of these concepts.
Riz Ahmed is a killer, man. I'm praying for his continued rise. Did y'all ever see that one Silo?
I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, I don't know about this. Let me read the Wikipedia summaries for the end. And I was like, oh, I'm really glad I did not watch that the rest of the way. You were into it?
I was totally into it. But
Are you still into it?
I would like I've watched the first season, finished it, and I'm game for the second season.
Okay,
like
cool.
I'm ready to see what happens. So like I wasn't disappointed. I like
the pilot.
But I'm also very easy to please. Like yeah, I think
Bullshit.
the production design is something that I'm
Bullshit.
I'm super easy to please. All you got to do
Bullshit.
is like, yo, if you just go, this is a sci-fi series or movie.
Bullshit,
I'm
bro.
What you
Bullshit.
mean? Tell me one
Bullshit.
time. Tell me one time that like a critically acclaimed movie came
You
out.
are the most fucking highbrow fucking artsy film bro that I regularly interact with.
Transcendence with Johnny Depp was a good movie. I don't give a fuck.
What movie?
Okay, that's a low bar.
Transcendence.
But
Transcendence with Johnny Depp. They put him in a computer and he took over the world or whatever the fuck.
all right, man. Touche. I stand corrected. Fuck.
Thank you. Thank you.
But have you seen Downsized with Matt?
Yeah, I have not seen that.
The goats.
Let me go ahead and introduce the podcast real quick. Welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flag, the number one dating and woke film analysis / miniseries podcast in the universe. It's your boy Eddie, joined today, of course, by my illustrious co-hosts Josh and Alvin. And today, we've got Skip Intro, not to
That's
be
me.
confused. Skip Bayless. It is his name. It's not a signifier that you need to skip the intro. He also goes by Jackson. He's a YouTuber, makes great content, analysis, and all that good shit. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I didn't expect to be compared to Skip Bayless today. That was.
I'm
that
more
not happen regularly?
surprised.
No,
I'm
it's not
surprised that
happened
Eddie knows who Skip Bayless is.
Yeah.
That's the most
I've been
surprising bit
researching.
of it.
I've been
I was like-
researching. I'm getting my man card today. I learned about
Let's go.
transmissions. You know what I'm saying? I bought an axe. Whatever you need. Whatever you need.
Okay.
Does that
all
mean
right.
Skip Bayless has penetrated beyond sports?
Yeah.
Apparently,
feels-
because this
I know
motherfucker
him
knows
from-
nothing.
Much worse than I don't know. I know you guys are excited, but that sounds really bad for society at large.
No, I only know him from like conversational clips. Like the same thing. Like I didn't know who Shannon Sharp was. I just know him from
Which
like
is
clips and stuff.
crazy.
So him and
Two-time
Skip
Super Bowl
Bayless,
champion,
I
Hall
don't
of
even know what
Famer.
that is, man. I know that's where they play.
I don't
they
even
play
know what that
soccer.
is.
They
You
play
don't know what the
soccer
Super
between
Bowl
like,
is?
I don't even know what the Super Bowl champion
They
is.
play soccer in between the January like big commercials that they play in January. That's the game they play in between those.
That's
Nope.
fair.
I mean, yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
American soccer. I love it. So Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless are American soccerists, I believe, is what they do for a job.
Soccer
Facts.
analysts for sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
100%.
Absolutely.
They definitely
have
know
us-
about as much about that as anything else.
Also, I will say, just talking about Skip Bayless as being a net positive or net negative for wider society, Skip's actually pretty woke. His sports takes, horrible. His societal takes, consistently better than Stephen A. Smith's takes,
That's
societally.
yeah, that's fair.
So, shout out to Skip Bayless, like going to wider society. I know
All right,
that's
we
a
gotta
hot
get
take
Skip on
in
the show.
itself.
We gotta get Skip on the show. Just don't get
That'd be
well.
Have you
maybe
seen
He
not-
doesn't
that's
do,
like-
he doesn't do freeform content. He doesn't do freeform content. Like his podcast is him reading from a script.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, maybe we can get him. Maybe we can get him off that. I don't know. Well, anyway. Yeah. Silo. Back to Silo real quick. It's good, but it's basically just like vertical Snowpiercer, but it's a lot less heavy-handed. It's a lot less like eat the rich, class warfare, the kind of
Oh,
shit.
I'm out
It's
then.
just like Because you want it to be more that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wait, I thought you didn't like Snowpiercer the show.
I did. I mean, I just felt like I get it. There's a train. But if you're gonna do it, I want it to be.
Then do it.
Yeah, do it, man. If you're gonna do it, do it. There's too much stuff that's. I don't know. We can be more anti capitalism. I think that's fine.
Okay. So how do you feel when you're like with TV shows, films, movies?
Wait, no. I have to know. What do you?
Okay.
What's?
I don't know.
I get it. There's a train took me out, bro. I'm sorry.
I get it. We got to get our tickets. Like, cool, whatever.
I get it. There's a train. Fuck it. Like everything else is cool. I'm sorry.
Different classes of people on different carts.
We get it. There's a little trolley with snacks. Fine.
Okay.
It is kind of a silly premise.
Isn't Snowpiercer just like a continuation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Are they still like doing that thing?
I think so. I think it's the sequel.
The new one. The new Wonka's coming out too.
I wonder
They
how
need to just hang it up. Like,
just leave it alone.
I mean, like a lot of those like old classics that they've remade time and time again, just leave it the fuck alone. I saw like recently they made like a Christmas movie where Santa Claus got like an axe and this dude's like a fucking murderer or some shit. Like, he's like a superhero.
I'm into it.
Really?
You gotta drop new Christmas shit every year because that's the shit like Mariah Carey.
That's fair.
Like if we just stopped trying to make new Christmas shit, it's like we would have never got that. So
what are we doing?
How you get a new classic?
Yeah. No, but I'm with you on that Wonka shit. Like, Josh, what they need to do is just take that simple Rick concept and just make that into a full movie. Just like do that shit.
I like
Capitalist take on Wonka. Boom, there it goes.
Come
They
back
did it
home
already.
to the taste of your own completion. I like it.
I don't know if I like when stuff is too ham-fisted with those messages though. Like, do we have like Severance was really good. Handmaid's Tale I think was really good.
Simple Rick was really good, man. I don't give a fuck.
What I mean is,
okay,
what I meant specifically with Snowpiercer is that I'm not going to watch it either way. So if
so
in that case, it might as well be as ham-fisted as possible.
Because it's not getting watched.
I'm not watching it anyway, so
There's a train. Who gives a fuck?
Moving on.
In general, things I like it to be a little more subtle. Sure, yeah, I could get that.
I feel like I'm real curious about like how much more prevalent just like corporations as characters is in TV shows. Like if like that episode of Black Mirror where they did like the Streamberry episode, or like the Bandersnatch episode where it's like it's evil corporations making shows about how evil corporations are. And it just
like Amazon making The Boys, which is about an evil corporation that is in charge of everything.
Strange.
I mean, like all of these pieces of media and art are like created by or owned by massive media companies. Like Mr. Robot, we were talking about earlier.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's owned by Comcast. Like that's who you're talking about.
What's going on there?
That's the second episode of the Black Mirror, the Loch Henry one, is all about how Streamberry is super exploitative of true crime while they're making a true crime episode for Netflix. It is very.
I think that just has a lot to do with like the writers more so than anything, because it's not like the corporation itself is
making those
producing and making. Well, they're like literally making the content. It's just who is paying for it.
Yeah, true.
And I think it's just like the appearance of like you have like the illusion. You just basically just have this illusion of freedom of choice, and then we're not that bad. We actually have a show about how fucked up other corporations are. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes like we focus on like we give like the entity
too much
treat
credit.
the entity like it's like a person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When it's really a group of people, it's a whole ass system, and then like you have people within the system who are fighting each other, and then trying to get messages out because the writers slip in a lot of messages in these things.
Of course.
And then it gets screamed to the man. And then they, of course, like give the green light. Oh, we really like what you did with this little fucked up part, but we need you to take X, Y, and Z out. And then like sometimes there's a lot of contention, and then shit gets approved and blah blah blah. You move forward and have your little show on the way.
No, see, that's a good point. Part of what I'm maybe implying is that I think it seems to me to like emphasize the fact that none of this shit really makes a difference or moves the needle. Because I agree, corporations are all of these people making all these different decisions, and the writers are not the billionaires who own the shit. The actors aren't. None of those people are. They're essentially just they're workers, you know. So that's why they're on strike and shit. So I get why they would be like, yeah, fucking Corporation is fucking evil. They're writing their asses off. But all of those companies, they have like a vested interest in how they're portrayed to the public, and you can see like when a crazy story pops up about XYZ, they squash it, you know, or they do something to manage that. But Netflix is just like, yeah, you can make that whole episode. You can make Gen V. It doesn't matter. And that just to me makes me feel like all these commentaries don't fucking matter, because it's obviously not enough of a threat to the well-being of these corporations for them to be so critical of corporations in the shows they produce.
I think that a lot of the corporations are, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, but I think that a lot of them are kind of greenlighting specific critiques, you know, or they're like, there's a certain amount of like pushback and just acknowledgement of the, you know, crazy wealth inequality that's going on, that they're not like trying to deny that exists, or like be that censorious. But I think that you're right. Like they do crush like real news stories about It's not new. I mean, Urban Outfitters sells like Che Guevara T-shirts, and I don't think he really would have been like down with that. That's my guess.
That's insane. Like,
but I don't think that But I don't think that it means it's meaningless. I think that they are doing what capitalists always do, which is prioritizing short-term profit over all else. Right. And I think that it actually is something that I think that it is an opening. I don't think that any TV show is going to like change the world or change how people think about stuff by itself necessarily. But I do think that in totality, media can make you, like in the broad strokes, it can make people think about stuff in ways that do change the like national conversation.
I think it's like a bit of a trickle down effect. It's like art imitates life, and also life does indeed imitate art. But I think it's like mostly the former versus the latter. When we actually do get these messages in movies, especially if it's like super popular and it like something like new that hasn't been come out or done the way like a particular piece of media that has like moved the needle just a little bit and gets people talking and starts to shift the conversation and start changing narrative, it does take some time. But at the end of the day, like, it's still very slow when it comes to real life change. Like the example you gave with Mr. Robot and then, you know, today's present stance.
So my take on it is that corporations don't actually allow revolutionary speech. So I think a lot of people have this really weird concept of what is revolutionary versus what is reformist. And I think corporations are very in line with what is reformist speech, because reformist speech is usually, honestly, just good business. So the example that I often give is that if you look at a 10K, you know, the official SEC filing of Coca-Cola, there's a lot about sustainability and how they need to combat climate change and how they do all that, because it is just good business, right? There are ingredients that Coca-Cola needs to further its business that are threatened by climate change. There are supply chain routes that are threatened by climate change. So they put that in their 10K, that they're tracking to this and that they're doing XYZ as a reformist model of how they've done business in the past, because it is just good business. Now, revolution may not be good business, which is why I think that a lot of these companies don't actually go as far as allowing revolutionary speech.
Yeah. See, that
but they allow reformist speech because they can plan around reformist speech. Revolution is like, we're tearing all this shit down. Reformist is like, within the guardrails of what this currently exists, I'm going to move the needle one way or another.
Straight from the lion's mouth. Now, see, that's exactly what I fucking thought, because now that I think that explains everything. Like, I think that completely unconfuses my mind, because now that I look at all of these evil corporation movies and TV shows from evil corporations, all of them are like, yeah, but what if we were just a little bit better at being a company? It's never like, let's destroy the whole thing and start over again, which makes sense that they wouldn't do
except
any of that.
Mr. Robot. No, I'm just kidding.
Except Mr. Robot. Honestly, for real. Like real shit. Like real shit.
The writers, the producer, the director snuck that one through, let me tell you.
Well, it's because they gave him complete creative control, because it was USA and they had nothing else going.
They were
No, I'm
right
serious.
there.
They were like, yeah, we got nothing else. Go for it, dude.
We
I'm
got
not
the
sure
shit
we-
on our hands. I mean,
But I think
man.
I don't think Alvin and I are disagreeing at all. I feel like we're both talking
No.
about short-term profit because, like, you're totally right. These are just like smart short-term moves, like the Netflix example. That's gonna make their stock the Black Mirror Netflix example. Yeah, they're making fun of Black Mirror or Netflix, but they're not making fun of like larger. They're not like advocating for any kind of revolution. And in general, like the success of Black Mirror's 6th season is good for their stock price in the short term. So they're not really, I don't think they're really calculating, yeah, but if a bunch of people watch this and down the road they watch other things that are also like this, maybe they will be more susceptible to slightly more lefty thought or something. Like I don't think that that's the calculation.
no, that's not really what's happening.
I don't think they care.
I think that's 100% the calculation.
You think so?
I think there's a literal person at every company, probably, honestly and truthfully, probably a team of people that are tracking that level for the major companies. And like, I don't think that every company does this. Yeah, but definitely the companies that have a track record of success and are looking to build and looking to be conglomerates, you know, over the long haul. They have a team of people that are assessing that very same thing, and they are making very calculated decisions about how they move in that climate. That's what a good company does. And when I say good, I mean a company that's good for its shareholders, not necessarily good for the world.
Yeah, because I'm looking at something like the way, like that Streamberry episode to me, for instance, seems directly in opposition to the kinds of things that they would want to have passed, like at a law level. Like I'm thinking, if you look at the way the Streamberry episode plays out and it talks about like that algorithm, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, we got to have a conversation about who owns our data. And that's like a real conversation that can be like put to votes and like be put into laws and shit like that. And if people come together or a politician pass a law that says there are huge restrictions on the way companies can now use data, that fucks up the business models of the Googles, the Facebooks.
It's already happened though. What
I want to say,
GDPR. GDPR was that.
What's GDPR?
I know, right?
GDPR was basically the European Union coming together as a powerful economic bloc. So for the people not tracking, each individual European country is actually pretty small economically in comparison to
states.
Literal states, like the economy of California, or not even California, or New York, or Texas, or Florida. Let's go a little bit down the scale. Yeah, not that far down the scale, but I'm saying Georgia. You know, the eighth or ninth most populous state in the United States has a larger economy than a lot of European countries. Just for our international listeners, but as a bloc, right? The European Union is huge. So the European Union passed GDPR, which was a privacy data centric piece of legislation that basically put a lot of the onus on companies to make it so that consumers had a lot more direct control over their data and how they could do that. So American companies, because they had to play ball with the European Union bloc, which is, you know, a $14 trillion bloc, they had to change a lot of their policies based on EU legislation. So a lot of that is already shifted. So a lot of what you're talking about in this context is stuff that they're addressing that has already happened, which kind of goes back to what I'm saying already, right? They're not talking revolution, they're talking reformists. It's already happening.
We got to go along with this. That makes sense.
I want to point out two distinctions. One, that talking about like the messaging of like a Coca-Cola or something like that is different than talking about a company that's actually making the media that we're talking about. Like Coca-Cola
Big facts.
They're monitoring that stuff. Yeah, sure, because they're also like sponsoring coups in other countries. But there's like an HBO Max. Their margins are so much thinner, and that's why they just like keep cutting stuff all the time just to try and get tax breaks. I don't think that they're thinking about the long-term sustainability of the model to the same degree. Maybe they are. I just don't think that they're competent enough, to be quite fair. Honest, not fair. It's not fair at all. It's totally out of pocket. And then the other thing was the GDPR. were all of those changes made domestically as well? Because my understanding was that they just wrote different code for that. Like they have the European version and then the American version. They're still collecting all that stuff. Okay.
So, and I know this specifically because, you know, not putting anybody's name on blast, but I'm you know, fairly tapped into people who work in other industries. So I have you know, friends that are fairly high up in Microsoft and Google, et cetera, et cetera.
No, you would definitely know better than me.
They were scrambling to change basically everything that they did globally in response to GDPR.
Okay.
So
like scrambling. It was like they were working like, oh, my teams need to work like 18-hour days.
But did they
gotta
change
be GDPR
stuff
compliant.
in America as well, or was that
Yes.
just okay?
100%.
Cool.
So what do they need to do now? Like, what are they allowed to? Because when you look at those shows, it's like they're doing a level of like data mining and predictive algorithms and shit about us that just seems terrifying when you kind of think about it. And we all see it in our ad algorithms, and it's like, fuck, y'all are telling me to buy baby shoes, and I'm not even pregnant yet. Oh fuck, I am, and the algorithm knew before me, kind of shit. What are the laws now? Like, are there limitations on that, or what's up?
So it's really complicated. GDPR was sweeping wide legislation. But I will say the biggest thing that you probably see as an average consumer is your ability to opt out and your ability to ask for people.
Yes.
Not people,
Which
but
they
corporations.
Make super easy.
Yeah, they may.
Is that true, or is that false?
That's sarcasm. That's sarcasm.
Okay, yeah.
That's sarcasm. But they do give you the option now when they
It's the
didn't
same
before
color as
to
the
opt
page,
out
and
of
you gotta just hover until
I was trying to opt out of the
Yeah.
ESPN one.
Yeah.
I had the ESPN app and I was trying to opt out of it, and it was so confusing. They were it gives you like the two options, and it's not clear which one is going to opt you out and which one is opting in at all.
Would you
Like
like
it just
to-
was impossible to
not
tell.
have an ungood bad time. The fuck? Which one do I click?
Yeah, it was just like that. Yeah.
One of these buttons tells only truth. The other tells only lies.
Right. You click one. Thanks for staying.
Yeah, thanks for subscribing.
Yeah, they don't give you a confirmation either for if you pick something. They're not like, thanks for opting in, or they try to get you back. They're just like, all right, you don't know if you're opted out or not, but that's good for us, I guess. I don't know.
We'll see you next week.
What happens? For some reason that made me think. What happens when you go to a porn site and click I'm not 18? Like, what does that button go to?
I think they just kick you out.
Yeah, you just don't.
But then where do you go?
just don't get into the
I
thing
think it
until
just
you
brings
click
you to
I am
like
18.
Google or something.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe they had like a kid-friendly porn, like not kid.
A kid
find
friendly
out.
porn?
Just kidding.
A kid friendly porn? What the fuck?
They don't show any genitalia.
It's come full circle to the Euphoria conversation.
Right.
I know.
That
No,
is-
just not porn, like just not porn.
It's
like,
softcore.
another-
It's softcore at that point.
It's erotica.
It's
No,
just
like maybe
right
like
there.
it takes you to mini clips or like a video game
It's-
site or some shit. I don't know.
I've clicked
can
on
we-
like not 18 just to see what happens, and
What
it
happened?
just nothing.
and
Like
the
it just
cops
takes you.
came to your
I know,
house.
right? Like,
Yeah,
who the fuck do you think
crazy.
you are? No, it just takes you out of the site. Like you just can't enter, and then like you enter again, and then you just click on I am 18, and then voila, you're looking
You're
at
good.
titties.
I know that some states are looking into setting up a thing where you actually have to you have to like input your ID or something.
I can see it, yeah.
Oh, that's too much.
Because apparently it's like I don't know the details, but I know California has been like thinking about doing something because they've been having like they know that doesn't do anything, and they don't really want
Realistically,
a lot
it
of
makes
kids
sense.
going on porn, I guess.
Of course.
And it's also like-
I've been 18 since I was 12. Like it's not. There's nothing that can stop
it's
you
not
from
good for
clicking that
you.
fucking button. And it's not.
But-
and it seems like the kind of thing that should be regulated. Like not to be like on some puritanical.
Well, it
shit,
is
but,
in like physical
Yeah.
media, right?
Yeah.
right. It's like a gun or a cigarette or any of that. It's like you're watching grown adults. Fuck.
I mean,
on the other side of
as
the
a-
content creation is super fucking regulated. There's AIDS and exploitation and sex trafficking, and it's just like, yeah, cool, you're a 7th grader here. Like,
But
it
here's
makes
but
sense
here's
to
the
have
thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though. And I know we touched on it very briefly. And I've been very candid about this point. If you can move the needle in 4, maybe 5 US states, you can basically impact the world. California is one of those states. Like I don't want to downplay exactly how huge of an economic player just the state of California is.
California, I think, is
Just-
like the 6th or 7th largest economy in the world by itself.
It's like it's 5 trillion. It's like $5 trillion in GDP. And then right behind that is the state of New York. Right behind that is the state of Texas. Right behind that is the state of Florida. There are individual states in the United States that can literally move entire business units, right? So when something happens in California, you might as like businesses have to react to that shit because that's a huge percentage of their overall business, not even just from a money perspective, just from a pure population perspective. So a lot of businesses build how they operate on how they move in California, Texas, New York, Florida, and the United States. If California makes that a thing where like they have to like put like ID information in
could be like
to move,
bigger,
that could just be the standard going forward. Because again, California, huge population, 50 million people, huge GDP, you know, trillions of dollars just in one state. That could just be the standard going forward.
Yeah. Because how does it work with like OnlyFans? Like if you're a user who wants to, like obviously if you're a content creator, you have to do a bunch of verification shit. But if you're a purchaser client, do you have to, or
not a ton?
Whatever?
I don't think
not
so.
a ton. It's very just.
I don't
whatever.
think anything that you couldn't get around very easily.
No, but you have to put in a credit card, so that is
you do have to put in information. You have to put in information from a payment. Yeah, you have to put in information from a payment perspective.
Card in or whatever.
I
but
think
for the most part,
you could just put in your own debit card because they're not checking your birth date by your card information. It's just the expiration date. But it's the same thing. Are you 18 or not? Are you not?
Yeah.
Yes.
For some reason in my head, I forgot that like kids can have like cards in their name. I thought for some reason it was.
I
like,
had a debit card when I started working at my first job at 15.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah. Not supposed to be looking at pornography at that age. Can we make
legally.
This guy Josh said,
I tell you.
Watch me. Can we do a hard pivot to talking about like I just wanted to discuss the prevalence of like old man action hero movies that they've done over the past like decade, where like every like 60-year-old man who has been famous over the last like 20 years is like leading an action movie still, and it doesn't seem like they're making any new ones. I'm just very tickled by this.
Here's my one point to start us off.
Okay.
When you posted that talking point for us to prepare for, and you included Keanu, I was like, how are you including Keanu in this shit? This motherfucker's younger than these motherfuckers that you're talking about. He's really not.
He's old as
this
hell.
motherfucker's basically 60.
Yeah,
this motherfucker's a vampire for real, bro. So he's only 2 years younger. He's only 2 years younger than Tom Cruise.
No, this is how old
and they're only like 8 years younger than Denzel.
Keanu Reeves dated a woman his own age, and people were like, "Who is this old bitch he's got around?" Like, she's younger than him, and they're like, "Who is this old ass lady that he's dating?" And it's like he's just dating an age appropriate. He just isn't dating a high schooler. He just isn't dating a college fucking freshman like every other like.
He's just
Hollywood
59.
dude.
He's just fucking old as shit.
Yeah, he's just an old man.
59 is an old.
Looks great though. Looks great.
He looks phenomenal to be fucking his age. He looks amazing to be his age.
Give him too much. I feel like he looks his age.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Like I really looked into this shit. This motherfucker does not look.
He looks
especially.
40, yeah.
He looks in his 40s. I expected to Google his age and say that he was like 45. That's what I expected.
Yeah, mid upper 40s.
Okay, but he's actually almost 60.
He's actually almost 60.
He just turned 59. He was born in Lebanon?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know I think he's a military brat.
Oh yeah, well, that makes sense.
He's also like every race. He's like
every race. He's every race.
He's every race. He's
I've
like
heard he's got a little bit of black in him
the
too,
Tiger
yeah.
Woods of this acting shit.
Probably.
Blasian.
Yeah, probably not who he wants to be compared to. I was thinking about how Clint Eastwood made an action movie in 2018 where he had a threesome with two girls. Called The Mule.
That's what happened in that movie?
And I believe he was like 93 in it, so
okay, get
he's not messing around. You know, he's still going.
That's crazy.
Also an ad for Blue Chew.
Oh, he's 93 now, so it's 5 years ago. He was like 88.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's
Imagine
wild.
writing that movie. Oh, I know exactly what we're going to do in this scene. All right, girls.
Hold up. Josh, what did you just say?
It also served as an ad for Blue Chew.
This motherfucker.
This film is sponsored by...
It was like a soda, like, you know, you just pop the thing open, you know what I mean? Like, you just saw it on the dresser.
He just like fucking popped it like a Mento, fucking like Levitra, you know, like fucking,
Right.
like,
You just see a shadow.
throwback.
Just
Cialis.
Goddamn
Whistle?
extends.
Right.
What was that shit that they used to have commercials for? Remember?
Oh, I do remember that whistle. Yeah, that stirred something in me.
And it was that
Maybe
that
that's not the
guy
right
who was
word.
like, "Hey, this is John. He's happy because his dick is hard."
oh
you know?
yeah.
yeah. That shit was a classic.
What was that?
I think it was called Extends. Let me see. Hold on.
Enzyte.
Crazy. Wait, is that right? Enzyte.
It says, Enzyte, 2004 commercial. I just Googled whistle Viagra commercial.
Yes.
Whistle.
Enzyte natural male enhancement.
Yeah.
Herbal. I mean, that
The
shit
first thing
don't
that came up was it posted in the subreddit Nostalgia.
work. Back in the good old days.
I tell you, when I couldn't get my dick up, that insight always got me right.
I fuck with that. I look forward to getting to have to use erectile dysfunction pills.
I love
feel
how
like
we
that's-
all looked at you like you were fucking crazy. Like all three of us were like, "What the fuck is this motherfucker talking about?"
I look forward
I
to
don't
erectile
know.
dysfunction. Let me,
Simultaneously, we were all like, "What the fuck is this guy Eddie on?" Like,
It just feels like
No, yeah, say
passage
more.
into
Say more.
manhood. You know, it feels like passage into manhood. You know, like getting
what the
your
fuck are
gray
you
hairs.
talking about?
I don't know. It's like you get your gray hairs. You're like, cool. I'm an elder gentleman. I've got gray hairs. I'm balding or whatever. Knees hurt. I'm like, it's like a rite of passage.
well, just
My
say
dick
you look
doesn't
forward
work
to getting
anymore.
old. Don't say you look forward to your dick not working.
Yeah,
But that's the same thing. That's like
No,
you got to
it's
say
not.
what we're
No,
really
it's
talking
not.
about.
I think it's part of
Who's
it.
old
but
and a
it's
dick
not-
works? No,
I wouldn't know.
Clint Eastwood, clearly.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
You think he did that
Like dead
natural?
ass.
You think Clint Eastwood is Dick Natty? Come on.
Come
Get the
on
fuck
now,
out of
Clint
here.
Eastwood still
This
got that
motherfucker
dog
said
in him.
"dick natty." Like that is something that happened.
Come on. He's injecting shit directly in, like most
Oh, no,
porn stars
yeah.
aren't
Right
even
into the
natural.
balls. Nah,
Yeah.
man.
Inject
Just
this
cocaine,
yellow
just
right
cocaine
into-
right into it. Just cocaine right into the shit.
I don't know why. I feel like you can look forward to getting old without looking forward to that specific part of getting old.
Yeah, but why
If
would
you wanted to, but I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you really
don't-
are into that.
It's like, oh, I want to get old, but I also, like, I'm looking forward to this cancer and this cerebrovascular disease risk.
I'm
you know?
really looking
No, but
forward
it's
to.
not-
I'm really
dementia.
looking forward to fucking colonoscopies and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well-
Trying to get old.
I'm trying to get
I
old.
mean, I don't. A little bit, like not colonoscopy specifically, but don't be homophobic. Maybe you don't know. Maybe I'm curious. I don't know what's going on in there.
I don't. You're knocked out. It's not pleasant. Like it's not a thing that you're like awake for.
A colonoscopy? Oh,
Yeah.
I feel
No,
like
I thought they knocked you out. Really?
No, I think you're awake.
I think you
you're
awake
You be
for that,
doing
bucko.
it's like local anesthesia, bro. You can be awake for the shit, but like they
Yeah,
do
yeah,
some
yeah.
local shit on you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's
All
up.
right.
Flip
Well,
you
never
over and
mind.
shit.
I don't know. I might have to be awake just to save some money because that anesthesia.
Bend you
I take it back.
You're looking forward to it, aren't
This
you,
is
Skip?
probably
And now
expensive
it
as fuck.
sounds pretty exciting. I don't know.
That's
I
what I'm
know,
saying.
like,
It's a good
I know,
time.
like going to get colonics all across the board now, like shit. You know?
You see what I'm saying? Pop a blue chew right before. You know what I'm saying? Get inflatable. You know?
Man,
Who knows?
like let me get that prostate special while you're in there, doc.
Exactly. Yeah, inflatable car salesman or whatever. you
Bro,
know?
why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, Eddie? Like, what?
I feel like I don't know what old resurrection is like, but that's what I imagine it like. Like it's trying to get itself up.
Why'd you do that, bro? What?
Like it's not all the way standing up. It's
Wacky
like
inflatable flailings.
This is too much of a visual.
That's what I don't know. I think I kind of just romanticize like all elements of like getting to do something that I saw in a movie or whatever. Like it's not like I don't know. I think
There's a lot of
romanticize
stuff
these
that they
things.
do in movies that you shouldn't do.
Yeah, but I like a lot of them, you know. And I'm not even just saying movies. Like I know it sounds like I'm saying like, oh, I want to get, I don't know, I don't want to fall into a volcano or whatever. Not necessarily that. And there are things that are terrible in movies, but I think some of the stuff that's like horrible in life feels like enriching in some sort of way, you know? Like you getting to experience sorrow or fucking loss or whatever. It's like it can
You
kind
want
of
the
be
whole package. Out of
I
life.
want the whole package of life. And it's like, cool, I'm gonna age. I want to be in a situation where I'm like, cool, I love my wife, dick doesn't work. Let's go down to the store and see what we can do about this. This is interesting. It's just interesting. It's some new shit.
Okay, like there's a new bonding experience.
My dick has never not gotten hard when I needed it to get hard. So it's like it'd be interesting to just be like, okay, I need to get equipment to do this. There's a whole extra little, it's a little ritual, you know.
Well, let me
I
tell you
think we
what,
should
depends
follow
what
up
you ask
later when you are going through this and see how you feel about it then.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Good call outs, Josh and Skip. You know,
what did Josh
I can't be careful what you wish for.
Because that shit
think
can
you
happen
think-
to you in a couple years. Like the shit that you just named off is not just some specific to like old people shit. Like,
I mean, but like,
Some like
he's saying
30,
it's
some
not
like
gonna make it happen
30%
sooner.
of men below the age of 35 like experience some level of erectile dysfunction, and it's probably higher because men don't
Yeah,
talk
nobody's gonna
about that pretty
self-report
freely.
that.
So if it's a
Shit.
reported 30%, that means it's really like probably 45%.
No, because that was one of the first things they warned me about when I started doing finasteride, which is the anti-bald shit to keep my hair on my head. And they said
We
"Yo,
talked about that, and you know, like
Right.
my situation was that like with finasteride, like it did fuck with me, so like I stopped.
Yeah, your dick was it that your dick stopped working or you were nutting crazy? What was it?
whoa,
It was both. I mean,
whoa!
shit.
I'm surprised you answered the question. It was both. Nigga. Like, my shit, yo.
I thought he was gonna say none of your business, but then he was
I wasn't
just like,
expecting
oh,
him.
I've already
Shouldn't order that answer.
talked about
know.
this. I've already talked about this. But like legitimately, it 100% impacted me to the point where I was like, yeah, like I don't even. And I was regrowing hair. Like I took
Yeah,
it
the
for like
hair-
2
yeah, it
months.
was working.
Like the hair was fucking coming back, and I was like, fuck. Now I got to stop this
Yeah.
shit. So like,
Oh, shit.
I think it's good to embrace being bald. That's what I think. I don't have any hair. I have alopecia, so
Oh, yeah.
I lost all of it.
are those
It's gone.
real eyebrows?
These are. I just have bald spots in my eyebrows.
Oh, I
wait,
thought you.
those,
Those,
I thought
wow.
that was
You
style.
lucked- you
Those are-
lucked
those
up.
are-
I thought you did.
you are thriving in the
got
middle
some
of
on
this
there,
shit,
too.
bro.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
shit.
yeah. I got kind of lucky that there's in
Yeah, no,
very
that looks
stylish
good. I thought
spots.
that was like,
yeah,
that's like when people get a cool scar.
No, this
and it's
one-
like, damn,
well-
your scar looks so good.
The first time this one was first. I got and I was like, I'll try and like trim it into that, but it was like mostly because it was like a big divot in the middle of my eyebrow. And then this one has just been going recently. I don't know.
That looks very good, very hip
Yeah,
hop,
right.
very dark.
Yeah,
villain.
so-
You are
Yeah.
thriving in the middle.
It's like
in the
a whole
midst of the
aesthetic.
situation.
I
It looks
appreciate
good
I
with
think,
the beanie and the chain. That's good.
thanks.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind losing all my hair in like my 60s.
I have
maybe
long hair
70.
for a long enough time that I don't really care.
Yeah, like I want to do a lot of this stuff at the end. Like, I think I want to have a kid like at like 90, just to have the experience of like the fun part of having a kid, but not all that.
Raising, child
yeah, all that
rearing,
raising
living
and
up to
all that
all
back
this.
and forth. Yeah, I want to have life done. I want to have done everything that I want to do, travel everywhere I want to travel.
Yeah.
And cool, like have a nice baby, and then
And then a quick
out.
Yeah.
third quarter life crisis that you just
Yeah,
dump
exactly.
onto the kid. Cool.
Look,
exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly, and
No,
then straight to
y'all got-
adoption.
y'all are thinking about this too small. Y'all think about this too
Oh.
small.
Okay.
I've been
Okay.
saying this
Scale it up.
for a while.
Okay.
Is that with modern advances in medical
Temporary
technology
children.
and my future, my future long term, like
Alvin Luthor, he got a plan.
income,
He got patents for this. What is it?
I'm planning to live to be 220, 225 like Ricky Bobby. You know what I'm saying?
fuck
Like
with
I'm
that.
just
Yes,
trying
yes,
to
yes.
fucking.
Why?
Why
Because
not?
It's too much
Why
stuff to
not?
do. Too much stuff to do. You don't want to get up there.
My
Come on.
grandma died when she was 100, and I went and saw her after she turned 100, and she was so fucking miserable. She was like, everybody I've ever loved is dead. Everything hurts, and I'm done. And then she died a month
No,
later.
but that's what I'm
I feel
saying
like
though.
that'd
That's
be
what I'm
better
saying.
if you didn't have knee pain. Like I wouldn't mind everybody I know dying if I could still go meet new people. If you're stuck
But
in a bed, then it's a lot. You know what I mean?
And that's my whole thing, right? That's my whole thing. I've talked about it extensively on this podcast where there's going to be a lot of things that we can just replace in the very near future. Like a lot of the hurdles that existed prior to that from body rejection and all that
Kneecaps.
kind of stuff, we're on the precipice of surmounting. So I would say everybody do what you got to do to keep your brain healthy because we haven't done a very good job of replacing
I'm gonna get my
neurons and all that.
brain replaced.
Keep your brain healthy from that perspective. Antioxidants.
When you
and all
say
that
they
kind of
haven't
shit.
done a very good job of brain replacement, have they done like a bad job?
Yeah,
Have they
done a
like
little
tried? And it's
There's stuff they've tried. Like I know, like what is
What
it?
even is that?
I don't know.
It's just a whole different person.
Progesterone theory for like people who have experienced some level of like paralysis has shown some promise, for example. So there are some things that have shown promise in regards to like neurodegenerative diseases, but in terms of like replacing actual organs and all that kind of stuff, that stuff is actually very promising if you have the money. So again, with my future high level income and advancing medical technology, I'm planning to get to like 220, 225. So me having a baby at 90.
See, I like that. I like that. Like, have a baby at 90, raise them until, you're 120, they're 30 or whatever, and then live life because you've already
I'm middle-aged at that point. You know what I'm saying? I'm middle-aged at that point.
I'm with you.
It's cool.
I'm with
it's
you.
cool.
Because I feel
it's
like
cool.
the childbearing shit, it's during like some of the most interesting, productive sections of your life, And for women, it's like traditionally even fucking worse in how much it derails what you want to do with your life. But if you can go like, cool, I lived a lifetime, then I had like a section of my life where I was raising babies, and then I can live another 2 lifetimes after that. That's fair. But it's like, damn, you have a baby at 30, the motherfucker's not done and really all the way raised until you're like 50. And it's like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do now? Like, go back to school? Like, nobody's trying to hear my mixtape now. Like, this shit is terrible. So, what's life about, man?
Not yet.
Yeah, maybe with another 90 years of working on your mixtape.
Then people check it out.
100%.
Yeah, that could be possible. But I would like to try, like, with the uploaded consciousness shit that we were talking about with, like, Pantheon, all that kind of shit. The scales that they start to talk about in those kinds of things, like with San Junipero, blah, 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 where you're living consciously for hundreds and thousands of years and you just completely transform past what it is to be a human being, that is of genuine interest to me. I don't think we'll get to that level of technology before I die. I don't think, but I find that actually fascinating.
See, to me, my idea when you upload your consciousness or whatever, you're like uploading a copy, right? So like that copy will have all of your memories and do whatever. But like my personal experience as a person will still end. I will not experience the upload. Just the copy of me will. That will have. It will be it won't.
That is the crux.
Yeah. So I don't know why that would change my life at all.
I think that's a difficult one because we really don't. So like what you're kind of talking about is like the problem of ego persistence, which we don't know whether or not it exists or like what mechanism it does exist by, which is the idea that like from moment to moment, your consciousness is a continuous experience as opposed to your brain basically like having infinite thin slice moments of consciousness that are just kind of connected through memory storage, And so we kind of go like, oh, I'm conscious continuously through life. But it's like, no, you lose consciousness every night and then you're kind of rebooted and memory that's been stored from previous iterations of you is happening. And so kind of the process that you describe of like, well, I would just die and then a copy that's kind of what our brain does anyway. Like we don't quite know how that works.
But I feel like, but I know it wouldn't be my body booting up, right? Like, but the idea of uploading it is like, at some point there has to be both my brain and like a copy of it, right?
True.
So I don't know. My brain's still gonna die.
Yeah. I think really
or is it? Or is it?
I could freeze it. Have you seen those people who are really into freezing they like freeze
I'm gonna
their
try
heads?
it. I mean, fuck it, why not? Like, what's the worst that could happen? If you already died and you just die, then cool.
And you just gotta like sink a bunch of money into it. That's all.
If you already died and you just die.
Yeah. If they can't undo the shit,
well, you pay for it before you die.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do with the money? If what was I gonna save the money for when I'm dead? Like,
no, you're gonna use it while you're still alive.
Oh, but they don't kill themselves to freeze their brain. They freeze it when they're about to die.
Yeah, but like
anyway.
you can
but
use
you have to
that
save
money
amount of money. Yeah, you have to
things
save money usually.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. But you're
and also like
rich
that money that you could spend on that, you could just like buy something else or go to Indonesia
or give to your family. I mean,
that's all. Give to your family. I
don't know.
Okay,
Skip was like, nah. Skip was like, nah.
I just told you, I'm sending them straight to the foster
fuck
care.
that bullshit. Yeah.
95. As soon as they get uncute, foster care. No. So I think there's two ways of looking at this, like in terms of how consciousness works, which is one, we don't have ego persistence anyway. So this thing that you're afraid of, that like my brain is going to die and like my experience of being alive will have ended, and this new copy of me in the digital realm that is experiencing things isn't me, that already is happening infinite times across your life anyway. We're just not aware of it. Like we constantly remember the past, and so that feels like a continued conscious experience, but that's actually not what's happening, which I find pretty compelling as an argument. Like,
I disagree, but only because like the things that happen to you, even if you were to like turn off your consciousness or whatever, they like still happen to your meat sack. So like, I don't know, you're still in this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's still like a physical casing that like things happen to and physically exists in space. And like, even, you're asleep sometimes or whatever, but like, I feel like that doesn't exist maybe it does. I don't know.
Well, the question is like, to what extent does the physical world have anything to do with the validity of your consciousness? And I would say it's like nothing. Like, if I lose an arm or if I lose my whole body and my head is still conscious, like, my conscious experience is the thing that makes me conscious, not whether or not things actually happen in the real world.
But it's informed by your physical.
Yeah.
I agree, but what we're talking about specifically is what is our consciousness? What is it to be conscious, like, across a lifetime? What does that mean specifically? And something happening in the physical world doesn't have a one-to, like, that's the thing that would have to be established here that I'm not seeing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, think about it, but like, so when, you know how like some people don't remember all the traumatic shit that happened to them, but like that like thing in therapy where they're like, but you hold it in the body and like the body remembers or whatever.
Yes, sure.
I feel like
the body keeps score type shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if there's any truth to that, then that sounds like it's.
Well, I would say
different.
that even that is something like, and maybe if you're adding like an extra like kind of point of discussion, I would say that's a thing that could also be replicated in a digital medium, that you could take all of that. Like, if we were replicating human minds, our mind is part of a body. So when we replicate human minds, we would be making them embodied. Okay. So we would replicate a simulation of your entire experience of having a physical form, at least to begin with, until your brain was able to kind of grow past and change, which is another thing. But yeah, I guess all of what I'm getting at is I think we assume that we are continuously conscious because we remember the past, but I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that.
Or just protect your brains, man.
I just keep coming back to like, why spend this time to like develop all of this technology? I feel like you learn something about consciousness, but I'm also like, man, we could get some people off the streets with that money. I don't know. Like, so
okay, here's a why. Like, I think part of the why is, and I was having an argument about like space travel and whether or not we should bother with that too. So I think part of me is just like, because it's fucking cool. Like, why not see what the farther horizons of scientific achievement are? Like, that I think that in and of itself just has value. But I think if we're trying to be just more egalitarian about it, what can the next generation of human consciousness look like? The same way that we talk about how we want our children or the people that come from us to like have good lives. What if all of this was on a digital like platform and just allowed us to experience levels of joy and prosperity that's completely impossible in the physical realm, or much more hard to achieve?
And that's why Twitter's such a great place to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, like real quick, the thing that I want to highlight is that every time somebody says, well, why do we put money in X when we could put money in Y? Just remember that that's political. The United States government, for example, or any rich country, for example, so that's every Western country, plus like the BRICS nation, China, Russia, Brazil, whatever, they could 100% fund anything that you would bring up in addition to anything that they already fund in mass. So people, for example, often talk about like the United States with military spending or whatever. The military spending is not taking away from them funding, homes for the homeless or cancer research, etc., anything for that nature. The United States can fund anything that it does. If you look at it from a Keynesian economic perspective, the reason why they don't fund X while they fund Y is political. So the reason why they don't fund homelessness, like kind of stuff, is because like, there's a GOP and, centrist Democratic perspective that thinks that is a individual failing versus a structural failing. But from a money perspective, they 100% can fund that and they choose not to for political reasons.
Absolutely.
So yes, they 100% can fund, regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, they 100% can spend, the 800 billion or so they spend on, military and other stuff, and they
It's
don't
like that,
for whatever reason.
If he could, he would, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that with
yeah. The government is like a slightly negligent boyfriend that's
slightly, just slightly.
Just like
borderline abusive. If he could, he would.
Depends on who you are, I guess. It's pretty not
true.
Borderline to a lot of people.
That's a good point. Just straight up psychopathic. Yeah, but I think I would want to do that kind of thing. And the other thing that I was going to say is, I think, did you watch Invincible?
I've been watching it now. Yeah.
Okay, so like what Robot does, or like what Rudy does with himself, where he clones himself and upload
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's something a little bit, like there was something kind of sweet about that. That like it was kind of like having a child almost. That what he was doing was saying, my experience is going to end here, but like I'm kind of shut the fuck up, Alvin. I don't know what the fuck you. That is, every time I try and say some earnest shit, this motherfucker flames me. But also, your poem about the mess of love was terrible. I think every time
greatest poem on love ever
of all time, bars,
all time.
Fair. I think the idea of going like, okay, cool, I'm going to die, but I have it's some like a form of self-love where you're like, no, but I want to see the pattern of myself prosper, even if it's not quite continuously me. There's going to be a version of me that lives on. I think there's something there, and it's kind of a mental gymnastic we have to do anyway. But
that feels like better than having that sounds like a more ethical way of having a kid, a less selfish way of having a kid.
I could see that. Yeah, you're only doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Someone who's consented to the continuation. Like,
all right, you're selling me. You're selling me.
Yeah, give it a go. It might be, because you don't know which guy you're going to wake up as. You might wake up, in a computer like, oh my God, I can do everything. I'm hooked into the information highway. I feel like that'd be pretty fun. But it seems like you're not. Are you like not sold on ideas of like when you watch sci-fi? Because obviously I can, like in your content and in your speech, there's a lot of what can we do in the real world now to kind of make life for human beings better now, which seems maybe like part of your worldview, which I think is which I think is a pretty valuable and reasonable one. I guess I'm curious, when you look at sci-fi that's like aspirational, or like we can live forever, or what if we could have lasers out of our eye, or just any of that kind of stuff that we see in media, do you kind of look at that and go, why would I bother? Why would I want that? Or this is the wrong thing to be thinking about, or,
Well, I guess, there's definitely stuff that I find like aspirational in sci-fi. I think the best stuff is like political social commentary, and that's what the Twilight Zone was originally. I believe Rogers, he wanted to like make the Twilight Zone about civil rights movement, and they were like, no, you can't do that. And he was like, all right, I'll just do all allegorical stuff. So that's why that stuff exists. And like, I think that in that way, it's really, I think that's pretty valuable to think about. I just think that a lot of the stuff that is like aspirational or like posed as aspirational technology, like isn't really.
Okay. Like what?
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I really think that like uploading my consciousness is like that aspirational. I'm not like, I'm more torn than I was, half an hour ago, but
sure.
Like you think about like going to space, like going to Mars or something.
I think that's a good one, because I'm so down. But I know a lot of people are like, that's fucking stupid, bro.
But
like,
who are the people who are pushing for it like the hardest? Like Elon Musk, who's like, I want you to be an indentured servant and you can earn your keep
I don't
in
know.
Mars.
I feel like the evil people have like co-opted the shit, because it's like different people can want the same thing for different fucked up reasons. And we say like, who's pushing it? It's like, well, I can't push the shit. I'm not a super big billionaire, but I've always been interested in that, and tons of people have always been interested in.
And it makes sense. It makes sense.
I was just gonna say, I have a friend who works at NASA on science projects.
Oh shit!
I don't know if I can. I don't know how much I can say about stuff.
Oh come on! What is aliens
no.
real?
What?
Are aliens real? Like, what can you say? Okay.
But like a lot of their projects are just getting like defunded because like Congress is looking at it and they're like, "What's the ROI?" And I feel like you're right. Like you wouldn't be pushing for that, but like the that is how the decisions get made structurally, is like, what is the ROI? What is the, like, you're like, yeah, I would push for going to Mars if I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk can and does, and says that the way to do it is in slavery, right?
But
Yeah.
But the issue with like government funding, and I'm saying this as a former not federal but state government worker, is that like we're fully aware of the ebbs and flows of the importance of what you're seeking funding for, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, NASA federal funding's a little different, but yeah.
Yeah,
like
but it's like,
if we wanted to, we could.
Yeah, but it's also like this could 100% change 2 years from now. Like
yes.
that's 100% what
you're saying. Yeah,
that's what the reality of government funding is. So like again, former government worker, it's like, oh man, we're fucking short this year. Oh man, that's fucked up. We're just gonna ride this out until the next governor comes in the office.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like,
you can't do that when you're in charge of like some equipment that's
that takes 10 years. That takes 10 years to develop. Yeah, like
now it's there
timelines.
collecting stuff or whatever, and you all of a sudden they're saying no, you gotta stop because we don't want to pay for it anymore or whatever. So
I don't know. I think for me, it's very much like if somebody said, "Hey, look, you can do a 6-year stint on Mars." It could be any variety of horrible. As long as I felt confident that I wouldn't fucking die, I would probably say yes.
You probably will die.
I'm gonna be real. Honestly,
even if you die,
I'm
you're
with
down?
you. I'm with you. Honestly, if somebody was like, you have a 20% chance of dying and an 80% chance of survival,
oh yeah,
I'd be like, bet, like send me, let's go.
Eddie, have you seen For All Mankind on?
Yeah,
Apple TV?
I love that show. I'm watching. I've just started.
You're watching the new season?
I've just started the first episode.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
so
it's like exactly what you're talking about is what this season. Yeah. I'm not gonna. Spoil
they're sending off old boy to Mars or whatever, like that kind of shit. I don't think that's really like too much of a spoiler. Like the concept.
I'm just saying, like the spoiler is that it's not gonna go great for him.
Okay, yeah, don't tell me that. I believe it. It's not going to turn out quite like how he expected.
Yeah,
no. Show For All Mankind. I remember when I turned on the first episode, I was like, "Fuck, I want to be an astronaut."
Yeah,
like I wish that this.
I have always wanted to fucking be an astronaut. Like as soon as the applications go out, if I'm not past the age limit next time, I'm applying and like I'm gonna like fight to get it. So
I hope that you do because I genuinely feel like you would be an exceptional astronaut. Just like. I feel like you got the combination of like intellect, physical prowess, like emotional, like strength. I feel like you could fucking do it. Again, assuming that you're not too old by the time it's like open up
again. Yeah.
I feel like that'd fucking make so much sense. And yeah, just watching like everybody I understand there's a million different cool world hunger and like class inequality and racism and sexism and transphobia are all important causes. It's like art. It's like, I think that art is an important thing. We should get to make paintings and plays and shit, and we should get to fucking sail among the stars and see what the fuck is out there and just expand. Yeah. Like, it's not like it's no indigenous people on Mars that we got to kill up there. So it's like, cool, let's just see what's going on. Let's see what the world is. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe I don't know. I hope not. You think so?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but I'm just saying. I mean, I'm very pro like there is intelligent, life. It's just whether or not they find us first or we find them first, kind of shit. Yeah, Stephen Hawking.
We gotta kill him immediately though.
That's what Stephen Hawking said, man. That's what he said in his last paper. The motherfucker said we need to be finding them before they find us because if they find us first, they're better than us and they're going to fucking like wipe us out. So he said we need to fucking like go out.
Dark Forest.
That's some real shit. That's some real shit.
I mean, but look,
true Christopher Columbus type shit.
Yeah, we have to kill them.
Right, but they've been right every time. Like,
have they? Evil. No, bro, that was wild as fuck.
Hold on.
That was wild as fuck. Me and Skip was vibing. Wait. I don't know what the fuck you was on.
No. When white people have said, "Hey, it may like among themselves fighting in Europe or whatever the fuck they were doing. Hey, if we don't dominate these people, they'll dominate us." That wasn't false in a whole bunch of like historical situations.
Like
no,
when they came to the Americas and they were like,
no, not the Americas so much. That's
when they went to Wales.
That wasn't.
When they went to Ireland. This motherfucker when they went to Ireland. They was like
they crossed the street. Yeah,
I don't even know about that one. I don't even know about that one, man.
maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. You
I don't
think a
know
lot of
enough
them could have
about
just
my
chilled the fuck
history.
out and they wouldn't have, like, nobody would have conquered anybody.
Yeah, I think they
mean,
really could have chilled
I'm
out,
from
bro.
Massachusetts originally, and
Yeah,
they told us about
originally.
the first Thanksgiving, so I think we can all get along.
I think you're right. Honestly, just have a turkey, chill the fuck out. Don't ask too many questions.
But in all
be good.
honesty, I believe like the indigenous populations by and large were like not very hostile to colonizers when they showed up in the Americas.
And I think even if they were, the technology difference was so high that I don't think that there was a threat of that being like. I don't think even if they were super hostile, I don't think the Native Americans were gonna wipe the fucking Europeans out. I don't think.
No,
There were Native American civilizations. Like if you look at even just like the
well, especially not
trajectory-
after they got smallpoxed.
Yeah, smallpox blankets and all that kind of shit. So, but even if you look at, like, to Eddie's point, if you look at like the trajectory of intensive agriculture, like a lot of Native American like societies, I'm thinking like Cahokia and all that kind of stuff. They didn't even need to develop like intensive agricultural methods because they didn't need to. The land just kind of provided based
Yeah.
on how they were moving and operating. So I get Eddie's point, but it's also like, God damn, man, like these motherfuckers just came through and just said, fuck it. Like,
Yo, can we get into some hotep science real quick? Just just a second before we finish the pod. So do you know that writer Chica Anto Diop? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
give me some works. Give me some works. Give me
Okay,
some-
yeah. So I don't know if he's a real science person, but he's got this thing called like the two cradle theory that I remember reading about when it was like fresh off of Malcolm X, and I was like, oh, this is the real science I want to tell you about.
This is the real
Basically,
science.
This is the real man. Yo, I had a hotep science teacher. This dude was the most light skinned guy you ever meet, but he had like borderline he was white, but he had a very like black guy voice. So it was like, but he would have the most hotep takes that he was inserting constantly into like our chemistry and biology classes, and it was the wildest shit. Like he'd be teaching us shit, and he'd be like, "But they got a cure. They got a cure for AIDS. It's silver thialamide or whatever the fuck he would say. It kills everything.
Selenium, man. Selenium. That was the shit for like
Yeah.
selenium. You need supplements. Selenium supplements.
Yeah. Just you got to get that Revisitrol. What's the shit from the wine? Whatever that shit is.
Resveratrol, man. Resveratrol.
Yeah, just got to get some of that, and the white man don't want you to have it. But one of the things that was talked about was the idea that like white aggression is like a genetic trait as a result of like a more harsh environment that's difficult to like to till and harvest and plant shit in. So that pushed along certain technological developments.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
I don't think so either.
That's
but,
what I'm gonna.
Anthropologically,
I'm
it's
throwing
not
that out
true.
there. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
You don't want us to know about it.
I know, yeah. Like,
You're throwing us off the trail. That makes me
I know.
think it's more true now.
Skip's like they're on us. Like,
Oh, he's radioing back to HQ. Like, wait a second. Well, all right, folks. Thank you everybody for watching. There's been Waving the Red Flag. If you see Europeans coming onto your shore, you may be seeing a red flag. But at the same time, if you kill yourself trying to like upload your consciousness, it might be you that's waving the red flag. There's been Waving the Red Flag podcast. It's been Eddie. It's been Alvin. It's been Josh. Joined today by Skip Intro. Where can the people find you? What should they watch? Tell them where to go.
You can follow me on YouTube at Skip Intro. Yeah,
You heard it here first.
I don't really do the other social media stuff anymore because it just made me depressed. So
hey man, I'm on Blue Sky now, man. You gotta
I don't have an invite.
What's
Hey man, I'm
We gotta
gonna
invite
invite
him.
man. I'm gonna fuck.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we gonna.
Is it good over there? Or are they paying you?
They're definitely not paying me.
Okay, all right. They might be paying you to recruit. If you want to watch our bonus content, join us during live streams, join the Discord, support in general, follow us on Patreon, Spotify, or YouTube memberships. Those are all three ways that you can join the community. Obviously, like, subscribe to the video, turn the fucking notification bell on, and we'll see you every single week at this time. Real conversations only. That's it. That's the pod. Cool. Thanks for coming by, Skip, by the way. Very much appreciated.
Oh yeah, this is great. This is fun. It was great to meet you guys, Alvin, Josh.